We think in similar ways.
Yeah.
You know, our days always begin and end with a lot of discussion, where we bounce different ideas and problems that are happening off each other, support each other, kind of work through it.
I mean, we spent a year together doing the storyboards, and at that point we were completely together during story. We were together in story and recording and editorial and during most of the design process. So we've had this big period of literally being side by side. Then when production hits, especially production in stop motion, it becomes, you know, fever pitched. And then we meet in the morning, we go over the shots for the day, we discuss what we're going to do. Then we separate, visit animators, launch animators on their shots, get back together right after lunch for another set of dailies, split apart again, visit, then meet again before 7 o'clock at night to go over. And at any point during the day, you just say, you know, Graham has to come in and see this. So, you know, if after a year and a half of working on story together, we have to be pretty much in agreement, you know, at that point.
So do you do your storyboards first and then the voices?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the storyboards have to get really worked out to quite a degree before we move on to any other phase.
Yeah, like all animation, you get to make the movie once. You get to make the movie before you make the movie. Otherwise, you don't have a blueprint and all the voices recorded to do the final shots in animation.
So Travis was saying that the actors have a lot of leeway in the recording studio. To what extent can they ad lib? To what? How much leeway do they have?
Well, Sir Ben, when he came, we had discussed the characters through some letters and phone calls, and then he had read the script. But he came to an unprecedented amount. He came with a conception of the character that was more fully fleshed out than any other actor I've ever worked with in animation. And we had discussed it on the phone of what he wanted to do, but he brought with it these mannerism and idiosyncrasies and a whole different voice that he had to record while he was reclining in a chair, that he brought to it so much work to the table at that point that he conceived the character. He took it to a whole nother level than what we had discussed. Whereas Nick Frost and Richard Iowade recorded together, and their two characters are in every scene together, and they improv'd together, and they really influenced the arc of their characters, because it was early enough in the process that we could rewrite some stuff once we got to know them as they were playing the characters.
Can you explain to our audience what the different types of animation there are in this film, and sort of explain briefly what each one is? I mean, we hear things like stop motion, but we don't know what that is. Could you explain it to lay audience what it is that you're blending here?
Well, the film has really become sort of we were describing it as a hybrid. At its core, it is stop motion animation, and that means physical sets, physical puppets that the animators are, you know, moving in front of the camera. And then a lot of the shots are combined with CGI to extend sets, to fill out crowds and other characters that kind of will fill in the background and give a bigger scale and more movement to the whole scene and the whole shot. But ultimately, at the core of the movie, it is still a stop-motion set with stop-motion puppets. But I think it's given this film a very sort of distinct feel and sophistication. I feel like the world that we've created, it feels like a stop-motion movie, but on a much larger scale.